Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're diving into, well, an extraordinary set of sources. Really radical perspective on divine creation, suffering, and the ultimate destiny of everything. Our mission really is to pull out the key ideas from this material. It lays out this intricate theological view, God's design, judgment, free will. It definitely challenges some common thinking.
Yeah, what's really striking, I think, is how these sources talk about creation. It's not, presented as this one and done event.
Right.
It's an ongoing process with a very clear end goal, a completion. And they connect these huge concepts, sin, free will, even judgment, as like integral parts of this whole unfolding plan, which, immediately makes you ask, if God made everything perfectly.
Why isn't it finished? Why is there still sin and suffering?
Oh, exactly.
Sources say God created space-time perfectly, intentionally for himself, no errors. So how do they square that perfection with, well, the mess we sometimes see?
Well, they're quite direct about it. Sin and suffering, they're not some divine mistake or flaw in the plan. They exist because creation is still, like you said, unfinished. And crucially, the idea is God wants obedience that comes from genuine love.
Not fear.
Exactly, not fear. And that's why free will was given. Because, well, real love has to be a choice, right? It has to be freely given.
That idea of unfinished creation is pretty big on its own. But then they take it further. They say this free will gets completed, completed through the cross. And judgment isn't just punishment. It's the final act of completing creation itself. They mean completed through the cross.
It's a deep point. When they say completed through the cross, they're pointing to as the ultimate example of selfless love. It perfects our ability to choose love freely, to align our will with God's design without, coercion.
Okay.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, there's this three-step process outlined. First, God calls beings out of non-existence. Second, he perfects their free will via the cross. And third, for those who just stubbornly refuse that love, he consumes stubborn offenders.
Consumes, what does that mean exactly? Like annihilation?
Yes. That's how the sources describe it, a return to non-existence. It's framed not as endless torment, but as a final removal. So creation can reach that ultimate harmony. This whole process is about purging sin from space-time, allowing creation to finally be completed, pure, perfect.
So, okay, these huge cosmic things. Love, free will, completion. How does that filter down to us? The sources say God governs through love, and that love is revealed as commandments. And here's the interesting part. Knowing and obeying that love is what actually perfects a creature.
Right. And then they clarify the two ultimate paths for free-willed beings.
Okay.
Those who choose love, who obey. They live eternally within this perfected space-time filled. But those who reject it, they return to non-existence. But only after a period of paying for their sins.
Paying for their sins.
Yes, and it's stressed that this punishment is graded. It's proportional, ensuring justice. So this challenges some views because the lake of fire, while its purpose is eternal purification.
The sin in it isn't eternal.
Exactly. The sin gets purged, it's removed, leaving creation pure.
And that detail about death and Hades. Those places described as holding offenders, like dark pits. Even they end up in the lake of fire when their job is done.
Yeah.
Makes you think, if these symbols are temporary, what does that imply about the permanence of anything tied to imperfection?
And that ties into another question they tackle. Why wasn't Satan just, dealt with immediately?
Yeah, why let evil persist?
The explanation given is, quite fascinating. It was apparently to avoid any misunderstanding.
Like God just crushing dissent?
Precisely. Or seeming unjust. It allowed God's love and justice to be fully demonstrated, fully confirmed, beyond any doubt. Without that, the sources argue, free will couldn't be truly completed. The possibility of rebellion would always linger, keeping creation incomplete.
So where does this leave us, as humans trying to grasp all this from within space-time? Concepts like God's timelessness, knowing everything beforehand, our heads spin trying to grasp it.
And the sources acknowledge that. They emphasize that our understanding of God knowing things before or after, it's limited by our perspective. God exists across all moments simultaneously.
So humility is key.
Absolutely. Humility and sticking to what's actually revealed rather than speculating too far beyond it.
So wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway for you from this deep dive? It's such a structured, comprehensive view of why everything is the way it is.
I think ultimately it frames even the tough parts, like judgment and the end of sin, as necessary acts of love, actually, essential steps for the magnificent completion of creation itself.
A really thought-provoking way to look at the biggest questions we have. Okay, so here's something for you, the listener, to mull over. If creation's ultimate completion really hinges on free will choosing love. What does that mean for our everyday choices? How does that change how we see our own small part in this, well, this grand design?